What the hell?
Sorry, Ethan.
No! What? Why?
Resident Evil Village. I mean, it's not called it, but it's Resident Evil 8. Goddamn, the 8th installment in this series. And it's really not the 8th main installment, but like the 8th numbered one. Yeah, you know. Is it good or is it not good? What do I think of it? Well, let's find out. Hi guys, DPX here. Welcome to my review for Resident Evil Village. Now before we jump right into this, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, and leave a comment, and you'll be a little subscriber. The core gameplay of Resident Evil Village is pretty much Resident Evil as you know and love. I say pretty much as it is in first person. Resident Evil isn't known for being in first person, as it's probably one of the most well-known third-person survival horror games, but adapted a first-person perspective in Resident Evil 7, which made it more scary in first person because it felt like, I don't know, it was you in those, you know, halls and shit, you know? It was you fighting those zombies. Well, that is certainly back in Resident Evil Village, and it is frightening. I will say that this entry is a little low on jump scares, which is a little disappointing, but it's absolutely made up for with the atmosphere and how it's made even more spooky in first person. There are a lot of guns in this game too, and they can do a whole bunch of different things, but you have to consider the ammo, as you'll run out and you'll need to replenish the ammo, but you can't do that right away. So you'll need to think of an alternative when it comes to fighting a zombie or something. One thing I want to bring up is I played this on the PS4. Probably best played on the PS5, but I played on PS4, and I'd imagine I would have pretty much the same experience. But you have an inventory, of course, yeah, to have all your weapons in, but I've seen gameplay of the PS5 version of this game, and the inventory is big enough and looks fine. But for some reason, when I played, the inventory was super small and I was unable to fit certain things. I had to constantly discard things. And I'm assuming that the PS4 version has a smaller inventory than the PS5 version for some weird ass fucking reason. That makes no sense. Just keep that in mind if you play on the PS4. Another minor gripe I was gonna mention is some bug that happened only once, but I still want to mention it. When I fought the final boss, there is a point, and you'll know what I mean when you play, or if you have played. There is a point where you are being held and it says press R2 to shoot. I pressed R2 to shoot and nothing happened, and because of that, I died. Again, this was the only time the game really just decided not to cooperate for some reason, but it was still frustrating when it happened. Aside from that though, the gameplay is perfectly fine, and it's also satisfying when you shoot a zombie with like a snipe or whatever. It's a lot of fun.
Where? You mean you'll screw around with him in private, and where's the fun in that? Give him to me, and I'll put on a show that everybody can enjoy.
Oh, so gauche. What do we care for bread and circuses?
Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil Village, whatever you want to call it, or Resident Evil 8 Village, takes place 3 years after Resident Evil 7, and Ethan and Mia have moved to Europe to start a new life and to raise their newborn daughter, Rose. However, one night, Chris Redfield and a team of soldiers raid their home and assassinate Mia and abduct Ethan and Rose. By the way, I mean, it's always brought up, but Chris just keeps looking less and less like himself, does he? Anyways, Ethan loses consciousness and later wakes up next to a crashed transport truck, and its guards are all dead. Ethan reaches a nearby village that is under attack by, like, I don't know, fucking wolf zombie creatures known as Lycans. While trying to escape, Ethan is captured by the village deity. They include Mother Miranda, she's the leader, and she has her lords, Dimitrescu, who is also, the giant vampire lady that, well, everyone's reaction to, as well as Donna Beneviento, Salvador Maru, and Carl Heisenberg. Without giving any spoilers, the villain, or the villains, I wrote villain, but I meant to say villains, are actually kind of understandable. Resident Evil has always had its fair share of good villains, whether it's Albert Wesker, Mr. X, Nemesis, and whether it's because they are well written or because they're just iconic. And this game has well-written villains. I especially liked Heisenberg, especially since we actually got to hear his backstory more than anyone else's. I mean, we get to hear a lot from the others, but I feel like we heard the most from Heisenberg. Also, it was disappointing going in that this game was going to follow Ethan Winters as the protagonist, as he's probably one of the most forgettable and least interesting protagonists in Resident Evil, and while this game didn't make me like Ethan on the level of, say, Leon or Jill or even Chris or anyone like that, I'd say he's pretty cool in this game. Now we get to the other stuff about the game. Stuff worth mentioning, but either I forgot to mention them earlier, or there really wasn't any segment to fit these in. I will say that while I didn't play this on the PS5 and I played on the PS4, the PS5 version, from what I've seen, looks fantastic. And I know I shouldn't be reviewing a game that I didn't really play. I mean, I did play this just on the PS5, and I shouldn't be praising the PS5 features, but I'm just saying it looks fantastic. But the PS4 version actually looks really good. Like, I just assumed that, I didn't, for a while, until very recently actually, I didn't know that this was coming to PS4, so I just assumed that the PS4 was just going to be a downgraded version of the PS5 version, and to a degree that is true, but it's not ugly looking or anything. It's obviously not as polished as the PS5 version, and there were definitely moments where certain textures took a little long to load, but it looks very nice. I'll say that the music, though, isn't too memorable. Was there even music in this game? Really not memorable at all. Resident Evil, though, hasn't necessarily always had the best soundtrack, so I mean, go figure. My biggest issue with this game, though, and I think by a large margin, is that there is a certain segment, Heisenberg's factory. I kind of briefly mentioned that earlier. And in my opinion, it felt like it was never gonna fucking end. I found myself needing to revisit the same 4 rooms more times than I can count. And not because I'm bad or anything, but like that's what the game wanted you to do. Revisit the same 4 rooms so many times or whatever. It honestly slowed the pacing of the game for me, and up to that point the game was very well paced and my issues were minor, but during Heisenberg's factory I kinda just wanted it to be over. That's not to say that the Heisenberg boss fight, along with all the other boss fights, weren't fun, because they absolutely were, and the stuff that followed Heisenberg's factory brought the pacing right back up for sure. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the game, but that is a full point taken off of the final score. Luckily, that was the only major problem I had with this game, and it might have just been me. I don't know if anyone else had this issue. It's not even that I messed up so many times here, it was just so tedious at a certain point, and I just wanted it to end. But it did end, and it picked it back up. In conclusion, Resident Evil Village, with some annoyances here and there, and one segment of the game really dragging, it is an otherwise super fun game. Obviously, it's a little low on jump scares, so if you're looking for that, you will be disappointed. But I said it makes up in other areas. it more than makes up in other areas. I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but we're starting to see a yearly release schedule for the Resident Evil franchise, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, but this is a good sign of things to come for the yearly installments. I'm interested to see Resident Evil 9, or whenever that is. I don't want to jump the gun on that, wishing for that. How things left off in this game, interested to see where it goes next. In the end, I give Resident Evil Village an 8.7 out of 10. I know it's a very specific score, but again, it was a lot of minor issues and then one very big issue. But I recommend this game. If you're a fan of Resident Evil, if you're a fan of survival horror, if you're a fan of all that type of stuff, or if you were just wanting to give this game a try, whether it be on the PS4, PS5, or I didn't even mention there are, you know, this game's also on like Xbox and PC. If you want to play it on those, you definitely can. This is probably best played on a PS5 or maybe, you know, an Xbox Series. This has been advertised way more on PS5 though. But yeah, I definitely recommend this game. Alright, so Resident Evil Village. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Have you played it? Have you not played it? Do you have it? Do you not have it? And if you don't have it, do you want it? Do you not want it? Anything about the game, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like this video, come subscribe, and you're probably wondering why I never mentioned Ariverse yet in this entire video. Well, I haven't played it. I wanted to finish this game first. I'm probably going to play that next, though, and maybe have a review for that soon. I'm not sure. Maybe make a video, or if I just don't feel like making a video, I won't make a video about it. But other than that, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.